the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
The water's cold.
Is it?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh.
I've had a lot of warm water lately.
Yes. Too much warm water.
Yeah.
Why? Because you were overseas?
Warm, just not cold.
Yeah.
Room temperature water.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think because, I stopped putting ice in my water at some point. I don't know if I love super cold things. I love super hot things.
Yeah, you do.
Love super hot things.
Yeah, he does.
When things are like absurdly hot to burn your face off, that's just the right temperature for me.
The movie Face Off was actually originally written about Noel Carroll because John Woo was sitting there with the studios and they were like,
Me and John are old friends.
Yes, and they were like, we have this dude and he likes scalding hot beverages that melt his face off. And John Woo went, and they greenlit the film.
Yeah, they did.
Based on that pitch alone about Noel wanting hot beverages.
Yeah.
And then they got Nicolas Cage and John Travolta involved and they decided to make it about swapping faces.
Yeah.
And it really got away from the original.
I mean, the point of the movie was, I think, it was an important movie first.
Yeah.
I think it was more, Wooble, as I call him. We're so close.
It's your buddy.
He's my buddy. Yeah, me and Woobly. He was ready to finally win his Academy Award as a director, because the people kind of thought of him just as, doves and
action,
fighting moves,
slow motion, gun fighting.
A lot of squibs. A lot
Right,
of squibs.
So many squibs.
He's kind of known for squibs.
He's known for squibs.
He's squibs.
Squib guy.
Yeah,
Squib director.
Woobly McSquibs.
Woobly McSquibs.
As those who love
is
him.
when you're going out on the town with John Woo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But John Travolta and Nicolas Cage ruined that movie.
They really did. Because it was originally supposed to be credits open, face off, and you just see this guy go like this.
And he just sips and his face
It just
burns.
Roll credits.
Yeah. But it is an hour and a half of him screaming in pain, dealing with just the suffering, the scalding,
The scalding hot.
the horror
Yeah.
of having his face burned by the hottest cup of coffee
Yes.
that has ever existed. And that would have been a good movie.
It would have been a good movie,
Instead,
but hey,
we had to see, one guy taking his face off and replacing with the other guy.
Woobly McSquibs blew it.
Instead, I have to hear, watch Nicolas Cage pretend like he's John Travolta.
I know.
And John Travolta pretend like he's
Nicolas
Cage.
By the way,
Neither one of them really
do it right.
know how to do that.
It's such a bad movie, but here's the thing: is it's kind of great because it's bad, but it's great. And I loved it in high school. I worked in the movie theater, and I saw Face Off in the theater, and I actually thought I was like, "This is great. This is awesome." And then years later, I watched it again, and I was like, "Well, it's okay. It's kind of hokey." Yeah. And then as over time, the concept, the idea behind it is so preposterous that it's impossible now to not watch it and make it feel. It feels like a drive-in kind of B-movie type plot.
Well, one thing I will say.
Yes.
Nicolas Cage has realized that, in fact, his whole career, this is basically what he's been.
That's what he is.
And now that he's embraced it.
Yeah. It's great.
He is my favorite actor to watch. Him as Dracula, if you have not seen Renfield.
I was so hoping you were going to bring this up. I just saw it too. Noel just saw it a separate time from me.
Oh, my God.
And he crushes it in that movie.
Nicolas Cage is such a wonderfully hokey
Dracula. He's just
God,
awesome.
He is terribly perfect.
It's awesome. I had a blast in that movie.
It's
gory, so it's not for the faint of heart, but it's very, very funny.
But funny gory too.
Yeah, funny gory.
And if you just want to have a laugh, and just watch it, it's a ridiculous movie.
It's ridiculous.
Perfectly ridiculous.
But I love what's his name? Nicholas Hoult? Is that his name? The guy?
Is it Nicholas Hoult?
No,
his last name is Hoult.
I'm saying it wrong.
I
probably.
think it's Gunther Hoult.
Gunther Hoult, the guy from Warm Bodies. He's in the X-Men where they're younger, very handsome, and he used to be in a relationship with Jennifer.
I mean, those
Lawrence.
eyes.
Anyway, he's great, and then the main female lead is Awkwafina, and she's hilarious.
Just deep in those eyes, and you can't believe what you're looking at. And then you think when you're lost in his eyes, you start to watch him talk, and then you just can't get your eyes.
He's got
off
that
his
great British accent,
lips.
It's very.
And you just think, what can I do with those lips a little bit, And you start to wonder, am I bisexual? Am I bisexual?
Can any of this stay in the show? Write down this entire pocket of time.
Why can't we?
I don't think we can.
You can't?
I don't know.
I think it's fun. You don't think it's fun? Look, I'm willing to risk my reputation on that. On that bit.
Yeah.
I think so. Look,
All right.
Here's the thing. Nicholas Hoult is not Nicholas Hoult.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
It's not Gunther Holt either.
It's not Gunther Holt. I'm looking it up.
Look, if someone's beautiful,
Yeah, you're right.
then I think that I can say I'm a little gay for him.
Okay.
And I don't think that I feel like that shouldn't be considered a negative.
You're right. Well, it's not a negative at all. I just wasn't sure. It is Nicholas Hoult.
It is Nicholas.
I was right.
You were right.
It was Nicholas. It's not
because
Gunther.
they're both Nicholas.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking Nicholas Cage. Oh, it's Gunther Cage. That's why.
No,
I'm wrong.
look. There's nothing wrong with being gay or bisexual. I was just worried because I thought to ourselves, I was like, can we go into that bit because it's like a PG show, but it's fine.
Yeah. I think that maybe
It's fine.
we're teaching kids about
Different feelings.
How a person can be so stunning to you that you're like, I think I'm in.
All right.
I think that maybe I'm in on this one.
Biofriendly Podcast 2.0. We embrace a little bit more of what we would normally say in real life, and we don't clean it all up.
There are a few males in the world who I look at and I go, I'd get after it.
Yeah.
I probably would.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not afraid to admit it.
I am not either.
And Nicholas Hoult, I just think the guy is a
he's a dreamboat.
And really a dreamboat. And when you see him perform, you're like, that's even dreamier.
And Warm Bodies is another incredible movie that he did where he plays a zombie that kind of grows like a conscience inside. He's just excellent. He's an excellent actor.
Yeah.
I really like Nicholas Hoult, but I agree with you.
Yeah, he's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Back to...
Oh, are we doing a Biofriendly podcast?
Back to
what you watched. What do you think? Did you see him?
said...
Nicholas Hoult, right?
Yeah, Hoult.
Hoult.
Hoult. H-O-U-L-T. Nicholas Hoult.
H-O-U-L-T.
Yeah.
So Veronica's checking to see if he could get it.
Yeah. Let him know.
Well, there you go. There's your answer.
Good-looking guy. He was with Jennifer Lawrence, wasn't he? He was in like a major relationship with her for a few years.
Whenever you hear Veronica go, you know that he could get it.
So... I thought you were going to say you've been drinking a lot of warm water because you've been overseas.
I have been
and
overseas.
I know that notoriously when you're traveling overseas, they don't do the cold water like the Americans do, and you usually have to order like the fizzy water, the soda water if you want it cold.
It has actually been that the water was warm, but I will say that unlike Americans, they don't make you pay for the water in the hotel. They give you a bottle of water. Just have it for compliments of the hotel.
The hotel? Well, that's nice. That's very nice of them.
So that was really nice.
Okay.
No, I think that, one, I'm living in a world where apparently I destroy ice machines.
Yeah. Bless you, Veronica.
You, poor thing.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm living in a world where I destroy ice machines. So in my home, the ice machine works while I'm gone. It fills up to the top with ice.
Yeah.
And then I come home and it stops.
Working.
They can't get ice.
Are you the reason why our ice machine won't work?
I believe I am because in our office, poor Veronica is just looking for ice. She just wants a cold drink. That's all she wants.
Oh.
And the ice machine doesn't work. I think it's me.
That is the most specific hex that you could ever have put on Noel. You're like, for the rest of your life, ice machines will not work for you.
Yes. Or the people around you if I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is a sad thing because the people around me love ice. And I used to really like cold drinks, but I stopped getting ice out of the machine because I felt so bad about the fact that there was so little ice.
Yeah.
That I wasn't going to be the one who takes the ice away so that everyone else can have what little ice is left. So I don't do it.
I
don't put ice in my drinks.
I love ice. And I'm not ashamed to say it.
do it.
It's 2023. I'm not ashamed to say that I love ice, and ice can get it.
Ice can get it. Ice makes me wonder am I trisexual?
Exactly. Let's get into the show. How's everybody doing? How we doing?
Hi.
Hi, Veronica. Veronica's confused because she doesn't know what she's supposed to write down on the list for me to censor or not.
Yeah. What's great about that though is when we do keep that thing afterward. I didn't swear, but Jacob did.
I did. I swear to be funny. I was swearing because I was like, well, clearly this isn't going to last. But now I
think it'll be great. It'll be the one time in history that
I went for the big
Jacob.
one.
We're going for the supercut of all the swears. It's going to be
supercut.
Noel swearing the whole time
for 25
and
minutes
then
straight.
one where Jacob just goes,
wow. But I want to see how everybody's doing. You're back. We're here. You're feeling good. It's cool for a.
Oh,
you
don't mean my back.
Yeah, you're back.
Got it.
On your back. No, I mean you're back. You were gone. You're back now. We've returned.
It was a lovely trip.
It was a lovely trip.
It was a whirlwind of a trip,
Yes,
but it was a success. I got to see a lot of countries, and now I'm home. And I'm still a little tired, but that's good.
That's good. Yeah. Makes for good podcasting. Because then your guard is down and you do things on the show that surprise me. And I go, we've been doing this show for 200 years. And 200 years ago, if you would have said that, they would have killed us.
Yeah, because you're not allowed. Back then, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to think that.
Not even think that. But nowadays, I feel like, just let it fly.
No, I think people get it now. I think more people kind of get it.
You're right.
Understand.
You're right. Look, I'm comfortable with it.
In general, I think the world is a lot more fluid than it was.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
So, Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult. And that's the theme of today's show. He could get it.
Veronica said it. He could get it.
She said it.
Veronica called it.
So today on the show, it's, this is we've done a lot of subjects in 200 years. We've done a lot of subjects. So you come back to them from time to time in different views, different perspectives.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this article, first of all, I just kind of laughed. I thought it was like a funny thing that happened, but it was worth mentioning kind of the state of things and where we are, and it was worthy a refresher on this subject.
A refresher.
Yes, exactly.
We're going to refresh ourselves.
So there was this Pancake Brewster. There was a 23-year-old British kid. He basically collected a bunch of disposable vape devices that were marked as expendable.
Yeah.
And they had the battery, and he repurposed all the batteries of 80 vape batteries and powered a scooter.
What?
Yeah.
That's heroic.
Right? So it was a story. He says a clever graduate has used 80 discarded vape batteries to power his e-scooter. I saw it. So his name is Tobias Stanford from Wiltshire. Now uses the e-scooter every day and calls it very reliable. It can go up any hill. It's been used in the rain. It's been driven through puddles. And the performance is crazy. So these vape batteries are very active still, yet they're marketed as disposable, and it needs to stop.
Right.
So that was where this began.
That it needs to stop.
It needs to stop.
I like that.
So vaping, clearly not a great habit. We don't want you to be doing it, but that is introduced into the marketplace, these little tiny batteries that a lot of them say like, well, once you're done, once you've charged it, it doesn't charge anymore. It's disposable. You can toss it. You can get rid of it. Or even the ones probably aren't even like rechargeable. It's like once the pen is done or the vape is done, then you just throw it in the trash. Well, there's a battery in there.
Yeah.
It's a freaking battery.
Yeah.
So this kid saw that there were 80 of them, strung them together, and powered something that now he can get around, go to class and school or whatever, reliably go to his job on the scooter from vape batteries. And so this is opening up the question of, we're in this era now of e-waste. And this is the subject that we tackled a couple years ago. I think it was like 75 years ago. It's been about 75 years. Where we talked about like what you can do, the right to repair, all that stuff. I don't know if you knew this, but Apple recently, we all know Apple is so easy to work with. So gracious of a company. Sorry, pause for eye roll.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Right.
Yeah. What I found was that when I left Apple, they made it very easy for me to go away.
Yes, they made it so that you would be on chat threads with all your friends on Apple devices, and they wouldn't shame you into having green text.
No, but their friends will. Yeah. Your friends will. Yeah, they won't. Like the Apple's not going to shame you, but your friends sure will.
Your friends sure will.
I literally, I'm in a fantasy. This is a tangent. We allowed to do tangents.
Of course,
Does the show have tangents?
Show has tangents. Yes.
I'm in a fantasy football league.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this big chat thread going with everybody in the fantasy football league. I'm sorry. Literally, our friend John has a Samsung. He's the only one. They kicked him out of the thread. they kicked him. He's not in the fantasy football thread. He's not in it.
Yeah.
He's not in it. And I said, and the reason was we can't stand the green text. That's it. We can't stand these green texts screwing up our thread. Can't stand the I liked. This guy liked, that guy liked. It was driving people crazy enough.
Yeah.
That they threw him. Poor John Sharp. God bless you, John Sharp.
Sorry, buddy.
Was thrown out of the thread, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my God. That could have been me.
It could have been you. And I'm sure everybody's aware, it's not just the green text. It's if you're on a Samsung, if you're on a Google device and you're in an Apple thread, it's taking every image you send. It's compressing it. The video's small. And if us Apple users are hitting like or love to the text, it's spelling it out for everybody to read. So it's just ruining it. And Apple is doing that, not Samsung. Google, they're fine. They have a way that they send their data, and Apple has put like a filter, a funnel to not allow it through the same way, so that you are pressured into buying an Apple device.
I was happily, defiantly using my Samsung for a long time and driving people crazy, pissing them off.
Yeah.
Because they want my top quality content in their feeds.
They do. We want that top quality Noel.
Because I'm pretty funny.
Grade A Carol.
I'm pretty funny in a text thread.
You are.
So people want they want me, but they don't want my stupid green text or my compressed videos or any of the rest of it. So it's this conflicted thing that people would say, God, I really hate you, but I don't like you.
We love you, but when you would chime into a conversation, we're like, well, it's all ruined.
Yeah, that was the feeling I basically got. So Apple's been great, is my point.
So what I was going to say is Apple has famously, up until this point, been against right to repair laws. But this month, August 2023, they reversed it. And they're starting to become open to right to repair, which is basically within the 3-year contract or what warranty of your phone, they will begin to provide the tools for those that know how to use them to be able to fix your own phone. And they are open to that now, and this is kind of a big win because with that many devices out there, there's just a lot of people that once their phone starts acting up, they're like, what am I supposed to do? And it's been closed. You can't fix it or take it anywhere.
What's hilarious is this is within Apple.
Yeah.
The two Steves.
Yeah.
This was the first divide of the two Steves.
Was it really?
It was. So Steve Jobs said nobody should ever touch anything on it except what they're supposed to touch. No one should ever. They should get the device. It should all be closed. It should be put together, and you should look at nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Wozniak was like, no. You should be able to play with it. You should be able to
enhance
enhance
from what his background was.
Yes, you should be able to do things with it, improve it, make it better. So they fought about it, and Steve Jobs obviously won that.
He won that battle. He won that debate.
A little more charismatic, and so he kind of ran with it, and Wozniak kept making the tech, and Steve just kept basically making it so you can't touch it. So that it doesn't surprise me that they were against right to repair because their entire thing is it just works.
Yeah,
you get it. This is the thing. Don't mess with it. Just use it.
Yeah.
And that, so, and that has pissed people off for a long time at Apple. Because, you bought it, right? You paid a lot of money for the thing. You should be able to try to keep it working or enhance it or improve it or whatever. Yeah. So I personally think that you should make a device that no one has to touch if they don't want to.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't ever need to mess with your phone. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're a techie and you like to play with things and mess with it, why you should be able to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I this is another kind of tangent, but I promise it factors in. Mm-hmm. I had a lovely conversation with your aunt, Gail, because she was asking me, she was like, why do you think that the younger generation now isn't that interested in driving like they used to be? We were having this great conversation about that.
Nice.
And she was like, well, you're a young person. And I was like, Gail,
32.
I'm 32. I'm
you
grown
are 32
man now.
years old. She can't keep calling you a kid.
I know. And I said, I'm a grown man. And but we had this amazing conversation. And it began with the closed system of Apple of buying tech that you no longer can get under the hood, so to speak, right? Mm. It's like growing up over the past 25 years of technology that you go, I can't get into this thing. This computer is too sophisticated for me, right?
Right.
And I said, so we have an entire generation of young people that are used to, I can't touch the device that I own. And then I said, and then double down on top of that, you have these cars that come out now and you lift up that hood and you go, I don't know what's happening in here. It's not just an engine anymore. It's a computer. And then also on top of that, once they created Uber and Lyft and services that begin to take away that feeling of ownership of a vehicle or car, or like it belongs to you. So that's changed the entire mindset of Gen Z about what it means to own a car, what it means to fix the things that you own, your own electronics, and make it work when it starts breaking down.
I mean, all of these newer companies, Apple Car that they're working on, the Tesla.
Yeah.
And frankly, the new companies in general, their goal is you don't you don't ever drive the car. You don't have to own the car. There's somebody else can own all the cars, and the cars will just run around, pick you up, and leave, and then and drop you off here and there. And that's kind of the idea, I think, amongst most of the rich folk out there. Yeah, is that the world of tomorrow is you don't own a car. Yeah, there are companies that own cars, and those companies send you a car when you need one, and then you don't ever have to park. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to learn how to drive. You just get taken around. Yeah, which. I feel like I remember movies being like that in the old days.
Sure, like a glimpse of the future.
The floating cars would all just kind of be there, pick you up, take you, move you around, and then drop you off. Yeah. That's, I do think that's where we're headed. I think that probably is better for the environment.
It is probably better for the environment, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay if that's where we head. I think what's going to be interesting, and we've talked about this before, is our children are good at getting into computers and know what's going on. Yeah. An entire generation is coming up to where the developers and the people that are making the closed system car and the closed system phone, you have an entire generation that are like, no, I know how to get in there and I know how to fix this thing.
Well, think about cars, just where they started. Yeah. So when Henry Ford, had the interchangeable parts and was making it so you could take two, and there was like this famous moment in automotive engineering, right, where you had two Model Ts, right, and then they completely disassembled the two of them and had the parts everywhere. Yeah. And then they had mechanics come in, and from the parts all scrambled up, we're able to take those parts, reassemble the two cars, not knowing which part goes where, and both cars worked.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
That was the first time that you ever had a car that could be mass-produced with what they called interchangeable parts. That's where you could repair your car, right to repair, right? I just need this part, and I can repair it, and it'll work. Right. Right? So before that, all cars were custom-made. Every car was, that car worked with those parts. Right. That's it. So Ford won at first. I mean, that's how they won, is by having this car, the Model T, that they could mass produce any color you want, so long as it's black. Yeah. It was a joke.
There was a joke?
Yeah. You can have any color you want, so long as it's black.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so once that happened, there became this like surge amongst young people of, whoa, I can repair my car. I can fix the car. I can buy the part from Ford, and I can make this car work forever. Yeah. And so you had these young people who before knew nothing about cars. Yeah. But figured it out because that was the cool thing. That's what everybody wanted. Everybody said, well, my car's that's the fastest horse in the world. Yeah, yeah. And so that kept going. And you get into the 50s and 60s, and you've got people who are like really tricking out their cars and starting to do things that even the original manufacturer wasn't doing with the cars. Right. In order to make them cooler and cooler and better and better and better. And then it became this whole thing about being a gearhead was cool. Yeah. It was rad. It was the thing to be. Yeah. And so you had people just making these hot rods, and it became this whole culture of I can fix my own car. I can make my car work forever. And you had people who knew how to work on cars everywhere. Wow. And then over time, that kind of fell away, and then the cars became more like the computers are, where you can't touch them and you don't worry about them, and there's only a few people who know how to work with them, and most people don't bother with it because they're into other things. Yeah. Tomorrow's car is the computer, is the phone, is tech, right? There's kids out there now who are like,
I know how to take this
What
part.
can I do with this thing? Yeah. What can I get out of it? Yeah. And you essentially have the same thing. You have gearheads with devices who just make them cooler, who jailbreak them and just screw with them and make them better. Yeah. And so it's an interesting future, but I think it's kind of similar. I think it's the nature of humans to want to take the things that exist and make them like understand them, play with them, make them better. And then whatever comes tomorrow, it'll be the same thing.
It'll be the same.
I honestly think that AI, much we're freaking out about it, I think tomorrow's generations will totally know how to mess with it. Yeah. Totally know how to play with it, totally know how to use it for their own purposes, make their own AI bots, do their own tech,
I think you're right.
Mess with it.
I think you're right. I think and that's exactly why I brought this up today. I was like, this isn't just about the right to repair and Apple turning a corner. This is about where we're headed, because I think that sometimes when we look at like the problem of e-waste, which is what is here, like we have e-waste, right? It's like you got
hilarious. We're sorry, we went on so many tangents. That's so funny. I forgot. Yeah, we're talking about e-waste.
E-waste. Yeah. We're talking about e-waste, but that's the subject of today, which is something that we've addressed before. But we're looking at it through a different lens today, because normally you just say like, well, what to do about e-waste? Well, you take it down, you recycle it, you donate it, you repurpose it. But we often, when we look at the problem of what's right in front of us, we go, how are we going to fix all this e-waste and all these things happening? But what's exciting is that the generation where we're headed, they're going to find ways to undo the process that we're in now, because they're going to learn how to, we don't have to do things like that. The batteries that say they're disposable aren't disposable at all, and we don't need to be doing that.
I can use this to power my scooter.
And that's why I chose it. And then I saw this when I was looking for information. Recyclable phone batteries are now a reality.
This is fantastic.
It's exciting, right? So a new project created by Australia's RMIT School of Engineering, so the Aussies are at it again.
It's always the Aussies.
Always the Aussies. Has proved that recyclable phone batteries are possible and extend the lifetime of phones by nearly a decade. So this is what's exciting. So e-waste makes up anything electronic that goes into the landfill. And the reason that it is so problematic, because the devices often contain hazardous and toxic chemicals that eventually make their way into our land, water, and atmosphere. This is something that we know. So they are discovering a new material, and this is where it is. The RMIT School of Engineering in Australia developed this new recyclable phone battery. The design primarily uses a material called, I don't know how to say this word, but it's MXENE. Yes, a material called MXENE, which maybe
Let's just call it Moxine.
Moxine.
Yeah.
A material similar to graphene, commonly used in electronics like traditional, not so recyclable phone batteries. The primary reason why Moxine isn't already found in most cell phones is that it rusts easily, which hampers conductivity. Compared to graphene or lithium-ion batteries, Moxine rusts much quicker. But this property, ironically, could be the very thing that extends the device's life. Using sound waves to brush off the rust, the researchers estimate that they can extend a conventional phone battery's lifespan by 3 times and create truly recyclable phone batteries.
Oh my God, that's so fascinating.
Isn't that cool?
All right, so think about it this way, and I'm not sure this is right, but I think this is what
I want to hear it.
I think this is what they're doing. So, all right, it oxidizes, it rusts. The outer layer of the metal is now worthless. It's not conductive. You can't work with it anymore, right?
Right.
But if you were trying to recycle a battery, one thing that might be worthwhile is to use all of it, to work through the outside and get yourself all the way down to the bottom until you're way down, right?
Yeah.
But you can't do that with if a metal's not decomposing in any way, if it's not going away.
Yeah.
How do you get to the bottom of it? You have to have something to scrape it off all the time. It'd be a total pain in the
Yeah.
But if something's rusting and you can just essentially kind of keep brushing off the outer layer of the rust, you have fresh metal underneath to conduct with.
Yeah.
Forever, like until it is gone.
Until it's gone.
That is fascinating.
Fascinating,
That's
right?
a really good idea.
Yes.
Aussie!
Aussie. Oi. Current methods used to reduce oxidation rely on the chemical coating of the material, which limits the use of the Moxine in its native form. In this work, we show that exposing an oxidized Moxine film to high-frequency vibrations for just a minute removes the rust on the film. This simple procedure allows its electrical and electrochemical performance to be recovered. So this is what I was pretty stoked on. Normally when I come into the show, I try to find a subject that I can laser focus on. But this was one of those ones where I saw about 5 different things, and I was like, these all link together.
Yeah, totally.
These all link together. We've got a kid in England who's making vape batteries into a scooter.
Yeah.
We've got Apple is reversing right to repair. Where are kids now with repairing things? And then you get to this, and you go, they're going to recycle. They found a new material for batteries that might be able to swap out this lithium-ion thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's
It's very encouraging.
It's very encouraging.
Encouraging episode, I think.
Yes.
Man, no, it's great. It's great. This is to me, when we've said this many times on the podcast, is that the problem that we're dealing with for tomorrow is batteries.
Yeah,
Because we have gone all in on this.
Yes.
I mean, there already were phones everywhere.
Yep.
And we were now making cars run on the same batteries. I mean, the problem was always going to be batteries. What do we do with extending the batteries themselves, and then what do we do with the batteries when they're done, when they're gone?
Exactly.
So it is really, it's encouraging to see that we have gearheads who are finding ways to just make the old batteries work for new things. That's kind of rad.
It is.
It's encouraging to see that the big companies that had refused to let people play with things are now opening that up, and it's super encouraging to see that there's again more effort, energy, tech going towards extending these things out, because that's what has to be done.
Yeah.
If we can't extend the life of these batteries and make them more worthwhile, then this transition is going to fail.
Agreed.
Miserably.
Agreed. And this is the time that I'm kind of, so the public pressure can work against us, and it can work for us, right? So there's this public pressure that people virtue signal and it's all bogus. It's all greenwashing or whatever. But this is where I think it comes in play that I'm so thankful for it. So you have the old classic Maytag repairman joke, right? Which is the Maytag, they built it so well, the Maytag man sits there and he never gets called upon because it's so well built. You know, that's an old idea because as manufacturers started creating more and more products, they started making them fail, like we know. Like, it's just not going to last, you know? The iPhone lasts for however many years, and then after a certain time...
As long as the payments.
Exactly, as long as the payments. And then as soon as they release a new iPhone, the software updates start to hinder its performance. It stops working as efficiently so that you go like, I've got to get myself a new phone. Yeah. And they are getting sued for that.
Good.
Yes. And so what's so great is that the world is like, we gotta stop making waste. We gotta stop making everybody buy things all the time. We were filling these landfills like crazy. And so the pressure is starting to get to the big companies where this way of being like, no, it's a closed system. You can't touch it. It's becoming like, we don't have time for that anymore, guys. We don't have time.
I think that the more I'm calling out to all the regular people out there, the regular folks, all the rest of us.
This is a segment we like to call "Calling Out to All the Regular Folks." Calling out to all the regular folks. Go ahead.
You look at some of the causes that activists have had over the years and how they've been completely co-opted by the very people who the causes are against.
Right.
And that it's difficult to have a cause these days and fight for a social issue without seeing it just get destroyed by confusing messaging and by people jumping in and putting their money all over it.
Yes.
And that has divided us in such an interesting way. I mean, definitely in America, but you see it planet-wide where you see just a divide over social issues that stop you from fighting the core problem. Right. And we've talked about that on the show before, and the core problem is what is your financial well-being?
Right.
How can the family of four survive and have a happy life to the point where mom and dad can both work their job, but also make sure that their kids are taken care of and have what they need in order to have a successful life and get ahead? That's that's really what's being taken away.
Yeah.
By a system that doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
I know this is kind of political. I'm not trying to get too political. I'm just trying to make a point.
Sure.
What you see here is regular folks saying, I've had enough of you screwing with my ability to survive. Mm-hmm. Because in the end, that's how you can fix all of the issues. You fix all the social issues and all the rest of it if you can fight for them. Mm-hmm. But if you can't fight for them because you can't eat, mm-hmm. or stay in a house that works, or get your kid in a good school, or keep them from being bullied or whatever, right? Like, if you can't do those things, and that unfortunately requires resources.
Yeah, it does.
Then you won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And so I love seeing people step up, like stand up for those issues, to fight for those issues. And I think the more that you have your energy where you've got a social cause that you believe in, I'm not saying don't believe in it, do believe in it, and do what you can in your community to make that better. I'm not saying don't. Yeah. Definitely do that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go big and you're going to not give up and you're going to take it all the way to the end and never stop fighting, the thing to never stop fighting for are the things that bring you the ability to survive financially.
Yeah.
And this is like the right to repair is a great example of that. The stopping people from screwing with your phones that you can't. A person should be able to buy a phone, and if they want to, keep it for 20 years.
Right.
They should be able to.
Yeah.
You should be able to have a washing machine that lasts you your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you should be able to have a pill that cures you the first time you take it.
Yeah.
Not something that you have to take it over and over and over again the rest of your life.
Yeah.
These are things that we should be able to have and should not be kept from us because someone's trying to make more money and drag more of our resources away.
Preach. This is good stuff.
So I love that people are fighting for that, and we should never stop fighting for that.
Yeah.
You know, the college loan thing that drives so many young people crazy right now, the fact they can't get out of their student loans, that is such a massive financial issue for so many people. You cannot stop fighting for that.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to get that, if you have to, even to be able to like bankrupt yourself at least to get rid of it that way. To have some way to discharge that debt.
Yeah.
Like, these are the things that we've got. This is what you have to fight for.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Because this makes you then able to fight for the cause you believe in as well, because you'll have the resources. And that's really what I think that the big evil people with hats.
Yeah, yeah.
You know the ones.
I know the evil people with hats.
The evil people with hats.
Yes.
That if they can just keep everybody distracted away from the things that are making them money, we'll never get out of the mess. So I guess my preaching is to stay focused on the thing that matters.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Absolutely.
Care for each other's ability to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Yay. And that was calling out to regular people. No, that was a very well said, good point. And that's the thing, is that we've grown up for so long now.
We have grown up for so long.
So long now. We've looked at the world so long now through these things that we don't understand how they work. Like, I'm thinking about right now my MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
That is a nice piece of glass. That's a nice aluminum frame. That's a nice keyboard. And if one thing goes down and stops working, my impulse is to, gotta get a new one.
Yep.
But what a different world it would be if you were like, no, all you have to do is swap out this one thing.
Yeah.
One thing, and this thing can last you for another 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that we're going to be moving towards.
Well, and to your credit, there's something that you and I have both done with our kids.
Yes.
Where we encourage them to save up money over a long period of time.
Yes.
To, instead of buying a computer, buying the parts.
Building a computer.
Both of our sons, who are best buds, and maybe one day they'll have their own podcast. I don't know.
They just might.
They're best buds, Owen and Ewan. They both built their own computers.
Yeah.
And know how to fix them.
Yep.
And know how to keep them running.
Yep.
So that's where it starts.
That's right. When my son wanted a better graphics card, he had to save up for
and get it.
Yep. Exactly. So, I cobbled together these subjects to kind of just talk about where we're headed with Right to Repair, cool vape battery scooter. So I encourage young people out there that you see the e-waste, the disposable things in front of you, and if you have an inkling or an idea to power something, give it a try. Like, that's just like a cool engineering project for sure. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to close out the show just to give the tips to the everyday person who's not able to alter and fix things, or they don't know how to do it. Obviously look into local shops that can do it for you.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, just enjoy these hot tips.
These hot tips. These are just ways you can minimize your e-waste. And these are things that probably already, but we're just here to reinforce some things about e-waste and just be thinking about it. These are just thoughts that I'm planting in their mind.
Quick tips.
Yeah. Understand the impact of e-waste, okay? Before diving into solutions, it's essential to understand the detrimental effects of e-waste on the environment and human health. To effectively minimize e-waste, it's essential to understand its definition and the consequences it brings. So if you have a better understanding as just to how many piles of electronic things are going into landfills and trash, and like what these little metal devices and glass and mined minerals that are going into these landfills, it's just not good for our earth.
Yeah, there's an aspect to this that I think this is difficult for people to understand, and I'll try to break it down quickly because I know we got 8 tips and I can't. But it is expensive to dig metal out of the ground, process it, and make it into something that's worthwhile. Not only is it expensive, it is energy intense.
It is.
So that's bad for the environment. Like, if you want to look at one of the things that's one of the worst things for the environment, actually, it is getting hunks of rock and turning them into useful metal.
Yeah,
that includes gold, silver, and these are all things that are, by the way, in your e-waste.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, copper,
stuff,
metal, like everything.
Yeah.
If you throw it away, we have to now dig up more of it.
Yeah.
And so it just now sits in the ground where we got it from in the first place, instead of having it somewhere where it can be used again.
Yes.
Because recycling it is okay. I mean, can be expensive and can be difficult, but they're getting pretty good at it.
They're getting really
good at it. And a lot of and particularly with metal recycling is kind of great. It's kind of easy. It's significantly less energy intensive than trying to pull it out of the ground.
Yes.
So your e-waste, when you throw it in the trash, you're really messing up the environment in terms of climate change. So just think about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consider that. Good point.
Yeah.
Choose refurbished electronics if you can. You know, if you're shopping for something, sometimes you find really good deals on the devices that are being sold. That they're like, hey, this is a refurbished TV. This is a refurbished Mac. This is a refurbished iPhone. This is a refurbished iPad, whatever it is. Sometimes people have a device and then they trade it back in and they go in there and they fix it all up and get it cleaned up as good as new. And you can have that for like sometimes half the price of the brand new thing. So it's just like buying a used car as opposed to the brand new thing off the lot. It just takes a lot of that premium down and it works just as good. So it's a good thing to look at from time to time. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm not here to tell you can't have your new thing, but
what are your needs, right?
Yeah, what are your needs?
What are your needs? What do you need for your device? I mean, if you don't have a lot of heavy lifting to do, but you just want to browse the internet and check some emails and do a little bit of word processing.
Yep. Absolutely.
You don't need a massive, expensive
computer. You don't need the $4,500 MacBook Pro for all that.
No, get someone else's $4,500 MacBook Pro that they got. That's only 2 years old.
Yeah, that's refurbished.
Yeah, that is going to be way better than what you need.
Yeah, exactly. Extend the lifespan of your electronics. This is just taking care of them, right? So this is like maintenance practices, keeping the device clean, and regularly updating your software. Extend their lifespan. So use protective cases. You use surge protectors. You do things to take your device that can fail because it gets completely riddled with, viruses and plagued with problems. So you just stay on top of the maintenance, the care of it, and you can extend it for a lot longer if you value and take care of it. If you're playing catch in the backyard with your iPhone, that's not caring for your device.
It's not.
No.
It's not. Be organized with your data.
Yeah.
That sounds like that crazy, but how many people have a parent or grandparent who throws every single thing on the desktop and then they've got a giant pile of documents all over their computer. They have no idea where anything is or how it's organized or what's left or anything, right? Yeah. If you're kind of organized with your data and you keep your data backed up and you know where it is, then you can fairly easily give your computer a little wipe every once in a while.
Yeah.
And get rid of every single virus that ever existed, pop your...
That's true. That's true. If you have everything backed up...
Scan through your data, make sure it's clean, and then you've got a fresh computer that's going to haul.
Yeah.
Keep your data organized, and it's easier to...
It's very true.
To keep things in shape.
It's fascinating in old iMacs that I had back in the day when you would, get to a point where they weren't working very well. If you could clear them all out and literally reinstall the operating system and start it from scratch, it was like zippy again. And you're like, oh yeah, it just got bogged down.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So it's a good thing to do.
So much stuff gets on your computer over time that you don't even really realize. Some of it you did install, some of it you didn't.
Some of it you did not.
But it adds up, and after a while you're not using it anymore. You're like, well, why do I even have that? Why am I doing that? And a lot of times people buy a new computer just because it's slowed down. A lot of the reason that it slowed down was just because you haven't kept up with what you did to your computer.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Or your phone.
Yep.
Your phone too.
Yeah. Number 4, donate and sell unwanted electronics. This is important. You got a pile of old devices in your house, some iPads with some broken screens. Donate them, sell them, give them to somebody that's going to use them. There's people out there that will take that, replace the screen, and make it work. They will fix it. They will solve it, and they don't have the ability to go out and buy the most expensive thing, but they're really good at fixing and repairing and digging in and figuring out what's wrong with something.
There are companies that are really good at this.
Yes.
They have these e-waste drives, and a lot of times they'll work with your local school.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled with the local school, the high schools, the middle schools, even the elementary schools. They do this.
They do.
These companies will come in with these schools and say, hey, let's do an e-waste drive.
Yeah.
And then you can take all your stuff to the school, and then they take all that, and they actually will process everything and pull it out and get all the good materials out of it and clean it up, and then turn it into something useful.
Yeah.
That's usually where we do it. Is like every year, each of the schools in the local area have their own e-waste drive, and so when we have old computers, we take them there.
Yeah.
And then it helps raises funds for your school, and it also handles the e-waste problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Darn it.
Oh my gosh. Number 5, properly recycle e-waste. This is easier than you think. There's places all over town that accept e-waste. You go to a local shop that sells, like a Best Buy or whatever. They usually have an e-waste bin right there that you are allowed to just go in and drop off any of your electronics if you don't know what to do with it. A lot of schools and places like Noel just mentioned, they have e-waste bins where you just say, drop this old keyboard that doesn't work for you anymore. Put it in there because there are people that know exactly what to do with it. So that's another way. Now, maybe this list is getting a little bit redundant because it says educate yourself and others about e-waste. I already told you at the top.
That was step one.
That was step one, and now it's telling you got to educate others.
Sometimes, guys, you got to understand. You've got this environmental magazine.
Yeah, they got it.
That everybody's coming to, and they want to get all the data. And your editor says to you, "I want 8.
I want 8. Give me
I
my
want 8 tips because 8 tips is what is required for the search engine. And because if it was 6 tips, then we'd look like a bunch of idiots.
We've run into this
8 tips
multiple times in the millions of
this
shows
poor
we have.
author is just like, there's only 4 tips. I stretched to make 6.
I mean, honestly, I think
How am I going to do 8?
Exactly. And that's what it's happening here. It's like, all right, well, I already told them to learn about e-waste. Now I'm going to tell them to teach others about e-waste. And that's what we're doing right now. We're teaching you about it. So we are fulfilling that.
So what they're saying is tell your friends about the Biofriendly Podcast.
That's what they're saying.
They're saying...
Oh, it's right here.
Right there.
Tell your
Step
friends.
7, tell your friends and family and loved ones to listen to the Biofriendly Podcast so that you will have taught them about all of this stuff.
All this stuff, yeah. The last 2 are very simple. Support legislation and advocacy efforts for minimizing e-waste. So that was what Noel was saying earlier. We just get involved. Fight for it. Let your voice be heard.
Yeah.
And then lastly...
Don't give up on things that are important.
Don't give up. Even though we joke a lot of times on the show when we say things like always give up and lose hope and all that.
Yeah. We don't actually mean that. We say that sarcastically.
It's all out of humor. The last one is embrace sustainable habits to avoid e-waste. So this is everything we've talked about. Energy efficiency, digital minimalism, if you don't need it, repair culture. That's all the stuff. They're just, exactly. They stretched it into... It's fine.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good.
It's fine.
We know what it's like out there.
We know what it's like out there in the world where somebody says, I need 8, and you go, I don't have enough.
Don't have 8, so we'll stretch 3. Yeah. Turn 3 into 8.
But that was the Biofriendly Podcast today, talking about some exciting developments. Batteries that can recycle, vape battery scooters.
I hope that everybody learned how hot Nicholas Hoult is today.
I hope so too.
That's the thing that mattered.
I hope the biggest takeaway today was that you should go watch Renfield. Mm-hmm. Nicolas Cage is hilariously embraced the style of movie that he's done, and that Nicholas Hoult is a stone cold fox.
He's a stone fox.
Stone fox, man. Yeah. Yep. Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Beautiful man. Yeah. Anyway, that is all, my dear friends. So with that, we say... We are your... before I get to that, thank you for listening to the Biofriendly Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, let your friends know. It was in the list there. It says, in order to save the world and minimize e-waste, you have to...
Teach.
teach.
And to teach, you can't do it. You're terrible at it.
You're terrible at it. Let us do the teaching.
Let us do the teaching because you're terrible at it.
Absolutely.
That's, I think, important. That's probably a tag.
Obviously. Let us do the teaching.
Let us do the teaching because you're terrible at it.
Yeah. That's a great tag.
Let's put that.
Let's put that in there.
Put that down.
Let us do the teaching.
Let us do the teaching because you're terrible at it.
Because you're terrible at it.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we say we are your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Bringing you top quality content since 1823.
Okay. Science without the stiffness.
Green without the groaning.
Inspiring fear and love.
This show is about patience.
Careful, you'll catch feelings.
Is this the big one?
This is the big one, baby.
Okay.
You're here.
Corn Dog Rogers and Kerosene Guy have had an epic battle in my head for generations or something like that.
Battle.
A lifelong battle in my head.
At this point in time, all I ever am looking for is Kerosene Guy and Corn Dog Rogers to come out, and then I'm happy. Whatever happens after that, I'm fine with it. Okay, this is where it's getting a little hazy because we're getting deep into it. Okay, down. No, not down. Down. This show will turn your enemies into friends.
And then I think I'm the one who's down.
It is.
We are down with the hooey. We're down.
Yes. Yeah? That was it. Down with the hooey. All right. Okay, are we at the end or was there another one?
You're at the end.
So then this would be the new one, which what was it that we just said?
Oh my god!
No. We can do this. Well, let us do the teaching because you're terrible at it.
So that lands on me.
That lands on you.
Okay, let us do the teaching because you're terrible at it.
That's.
Yeah, that's literally what you guys said.
It's amazing. And with that, Veronica leans into the mic so perfectly and says,
Happy nuggets and stop and smell the flowers.
lovely.
Lovely.
Have
See
a
you
good
next
one,
time.
everybody.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.